back to Grim Advice with Gretta Myers. You've entered the grimoire with 2 limbs. Let's turn some pages together. Alright. I know you're wondering, where has Gretta been? And it's been an interesting week, and I've had tests for school, and so it boiled down to me being like, I can do 2 days this week, and so I'll do 3 the next week. Because honestly, that's what it looks like it's gonna be from now on, is about 5 videos every 2 weeks. And I hate that it's this way, and I still need to support myself and my mental health. So, I don't need to explain things to you. So I'm not even gonna slate things anymore. Just leave things open for myself, so I have to quit apologizing when I switch things around. Today, however, we are going to have the devil and his grandmother. There was a great war, and the king had many soldiers, but gave them small pay, so small that they could not live upon it. So 3 of them agreed among themselves to desert. One of them said to the others, "If we are caught, we shall be hanged on the gallows. How shall we manage it?" Another said, "Look at that great cornfield. If we were to hide ourselves there, no one can find us. The troops are not allowed to enter it, and tomorrow they are to march away." They crept into the corn, only the troops did not march away, but remained lying all round about it. They stayed in the corn for 2 days and 2 nights, and they were so hungry that they all but died, and if they had come out, their death would have been certain. Then said they, "What is the use of our deserting, if we have to perish miserably here?" But now a fiery dragon came flying through the air, and it came down to them and asked why they concealed themselves there. They answered, "We are 3 soldiers who have deserted because the pay was so bad, and now we shall have to die of hunger if we stay here, or to dangle on the gallows if we go out." "If you will serve me for 7 years," said the dragon, "I will convey you through the army so that no one shall seize you." "We have no choice and are compelled to accept," they replied. Then the dragon caught hold of them with his claws and carried them away through the air over the army and put them down again on the earth far from it. But the dragon was no other than the devil. He gave them a small whip and said, "Whip with it and crack it, and then as much gold will spring up round about you as you can wish for. Then you can live like great lords, keep horses, and drive your carriages, but when the 7 years have come to an end, you are my property." Then he put before them a book, which they were all 3 forced to sign. "I will, however, then set you a riddle," said he, "and if you can guess that, you shall be free and released from my power." Then the dragon flew away from them, and they went away with their whip, had gold in plenty, and ordered themselves rich apparel, and travelled about the world. Wherever they were, they lived in pleasure and magnificence, rode on horseback, drove in carriages, ate and drank, but did nothing wicked. The time slipped quickly away, and when the 7 years were coming to an end, 2 of them were terribly anxious and alarmed, but the 3rd took the affair easily and said, "Brothers, fear nothing, my head is sharp enough, I shall guess the riddle." They went out into the open country and sat down, and the 2 made sorrowful faces. Then an aged woman came up to them, who inquired why they were so sad. "Alas," said they, "how can that concern you? After all, you cannot help us." "Who knows?" said she. "Confide your trouble to me." So they told her that they had been the devil's servants for nearly 7 years, and that he had provided them with gold as plentifully as it had been blackberries, but that they had sold themselves to him and were forfeited to him if at the end of 7 years they could not guess a riddle. The old woman said, "If you are to be saved, one of you must go into the forest. There he will come to a fallen rock, which looks like a little house. He must enter that, and then he will obtain help." The 2 melancholy ones thought to themselves, "That will still not save us," and stayed where they were. But the 3rd, the merry one, got up and walked on in the forest until he found the rock house. In the little house, however, a very aged woman was sitting, who was the devil's grandmother, and asked the soldier where he came from and what he wanted there. He told her everything that had happened, and as he pleased her well, she had pity on him and said she would help him. She lifted up a great stone which lay above a cellar and said, "Conceal yourself there. You can hear everything that is said here. Only sit still and do not stir. When the dragon comes, I will question him about the riddle. He tells everything to me, so listen carefully to his answer." At 12 o'clock at night, the dragon came flying there and asked for his dinner. The grandmother laid the table and served up food and drink, so that he was pleased, and they ate and drank together. In the course of conversation, she asked him what kind of a day he had had, how many souls he had got. Nothing went very well today, he answered, but I have laid hold of 3 soldiers. I have them safe. Indeed, 3 soldiers, that's something to like. But they may escape you yet? The devil said mockingly, "They are mine. I will set them a riddle which they shall never in this world be able to guess." "What riddle is that?" she inquired. "I will tell you. In the great North Sea lies a dead dogfish that shall be your roast meat, and the rib of a whale shall be your silver spoon, and a hollow old horse hoofs shall be your wine glass." When the devil had gone to bed, the old grandmother raised up the stone and let out the soldier. "Have you paid particular attention to everything?" "Yes," said he. "I know enough and will contrive to save myself." Then he had to go back another way, through the window, secretly and with all speed to his companions. He told them how the devil had been overreached by the old grandmother, and how he had learned the answer to the riddle from him. Then they were all joyous and of good cheer, and took the whip and whipped so much gold for themselves that it ran all over the ground. When the 7 years had fully gone by, the devil came with the book, showed the signatures, and said, "I will take you with me to hell. There you shall have a meal. If you can guess what kind of roast meat you will have to eat, you shall be free and released from your bargain, and may keep the whip as well." Then the first soldier began and said, "In the great North Sea lies a dead dogfish. That, no doubt, is the roast meat." The devil was angry and began to mutter, and asked, "But what will be your spoon?" "The rib of a whale. That is our silver spoon." The devil made a wry face, and again growled, and said to the third, "And you also know what your wine glass is to be. An old horse's hoof is to be our wine glass." Then the devil flew away with a loud cry, and had no more power over them. But the 3 kept the whip, and whipped as much money for themselves with it as they wanted, and lived happily to their end. First off, I love that, like, this is, like, the second story where the devil has a grandmother or a mother and is, like, not evil to her. Like, I like that for some reason. It's kind of, you see a different side of the supposed devil. Okay, what do I want to say? Like, I know, again, I have my point that I've been thinking about, but, like, is there anything else I want to say? Okay, I also, this idea that, like, you can trick the devil. And I am a big, firm believer in consequences. But also, sometimes you end up in sticky situations. You're like, what do I do? This is going to be the end of me. Try and find a way to flip it on its head, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't know. Okay, let me see what else I want to say. Be nice to old ladies. Always a good point. Old people in general, just be nice, but, like, especially to old ladies. And she's like, and he's like, they're like, this random lady is like, "Hey, what's wrong?" And they're like, "Oh, nothing, it's not your problem." And she's like, "Come on, like, spill. Talking about it will be helpful." And then it is helpful, so talk about your problems. Okay. Okay, there is a point, yeah, so they're hiding out in this corn. And they're starving to death, but they can't go back because then they're gonna get hung. Whatever. Also, I said melancholy earlier because of that one movie. It's melancholy, and I'm sorry. Okay. And so then the devil, the dragon shows up, who's secretly the devil, gasp, and makes a deal with them. Guys, don't make deals with dragons, just saying. And it's like, we have no choice and are compelled to accept. Obviously, I cannot speak for your specific situation or my own specific situation. However, I can say this, is that there are a lot of times when we feel that there is no other option than to do this horrible thing, like cheat on a test, hurt someone we care about, steal something, murder, eating a chocolate cake that was our roommate's. Like, we feel we have no other choice, and a lot of times, if you stop and take a minute to not panic, you can see that there are other choices. Obviously, I cannot tell you. And again, self-defense and all that, I don't. So my point right now is that most times there are other choices. Right, and then I really actually like the soldiers, because they're like, this is a bad situation, we should get out of it. They come up with a plan, and they do it. Like, that is good. Okay, what is that? So the point that I wanted to make, what was it? Oh, okay. So they're in this sticky situation. And when it comes to, like, here comes our consequence. Here comes this thing that we want to avoid. And here it comes, and two of them get really depressed. And they kind of just resign themselves, and then they resign themselves to moping, and they're like, I don't want to, but I'm not going to do anything about it. And the second one is like, and this one is like, that's stupid. We should try and do something about it. Okay. So I recognize that you often cannot control your mood about a certain situation. Like, certain situations will get you depressed and down. Like, there's situational depression. And things are hard. However, you can control your attitude. And I think attitude in this situation especially is made up of, am I going to find something to fix this? Or am I going to just mope? And that is kind of that's kind of up to you. And so you might not be able to control your mood, and maybe you're still really melancholy and upset. However, you can't let that get you down if you want to fix the situation. Like, you can't use, oh, I'm sad, so I'm not going to do anything about my situation. Or let it, I don't know. But the point is that you can do things, even though you don't want to. Because really, we all don't. Or if you really don't want to, you say, okay, that's it. And don't mope? I don't know. What am I even saying? I don't know. Glean something from it. I dare you. Alright, my gremlins. Thank you for joining us for another happily ever after, or not so happily ever after. That's up for you to decide, and what you decide is valid, because you're valid. You are. Either way, this is the end for today's episode, so tune in later and we can learn more and turn new pages together.